What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Series 12 team building video, and today we're revisiting Calyrex Ice Rider and Groudon. So this is a duo that we've done before, and we'll be doing a lot of these, right? As the month of June approaches now, we'll take a look at some of the other teams that we've used before, or I should say duos, and we'll revisit the archetype and see how they have changed since then, right? So basically, when we first did Calyrex Ice Rider and Groudon, we did something with like Dusclops with Gravity and Shadow Sneak, right? Gravity so that Groudon wouldn't miss Precipice Blades or Will-O-Wisp from Dusclops, and then we could Shadow Sneak our Calyrex and then, you know, activate a weakness policy that way. So that was kind of cute. But now what we're going to do is, you know, change it up a little bit. So I think with this duo, this time around, we're going to add a little bit more consistency. And instead of Dusclops, we'll add another Eviolite user to set up Trick Room. So again, the strength of Calyrex and Groudon is, you know, they're both slow, they're both bulky, they both have spread moves, they both hit very hard, but they're both weak to Intimidate, right? And of course, you need to do something about Kyogre. Because neither of these things can hit Kyogre very well unless, you know, you get those quick boosts off, or, you know, you change its weather a little bit. But again, that's not really enough, right? You're gonna need a little bit more for that. Zacian, Groudon's not bad, but again, not enough. We need something else to help us mitigate some of that damage a little bit. And then Calyrex Ice Rider, you know, generally weak to stuff like Yveltal, or, you know, like we said, we did say Incineroar spam Zacian, but also the Shadow Rider matchup is also a little bit tricky, so we need something else for that. And then, you know, just from there, just adding a little bit more consistency to the team, and maybe something like a partner for Groudon that we can enable with the sun, like I always like to say. So how are we going to do this? So I think with Groudon, I think Venusaur comes again. I think when we did our first build, yeah, we had Charizard on the team. This time we're going to use Venusaur this time around, and again, another good Venusaur partner along with Groudon is the Porygon 2. Now, with the Porygon, again, this gives you that normal typing to help deal with the Shadow Rider, because the Shadow Rider can't really touch the P2, and then Porygon has moves like Shadow Ball or Foul Play that we can use against the Shadow Rider. You know, that we basically pin that slot with the Porygon, and then we get another Trick Room setter in the P2, and you know, it's very bulky. It's that's all I have to really say about P2. It's really good right now, and it's bulky. And then if you have stuff like Eerie Impulse on the P2, you know, now all of a sudden Kyogre's not doing that much damage, Reshiram's not doing damage, Dialga's not really doing damage, Regieleki even, well, but again, we have a Groudon for that anyway. But again, P2 is a great support for this team overall, and I think it just makes a lot of sense here. And then from here, you know, you gotta have Intimidate and Fake Out on the team. You know, Incineroar just does so much in general, right? So boosted by the drought from Groudon, you could do like Incineroar, Venusaur leads, parting shot into Groudon, P2 instant leads, parting shot into Calyrex or Groudon, you know, when you're clicking Trick Room. Very, very good for Zacian, very, very good for Shadow Rider, because both of these things don't really like Incin. You can really neutralize a lot of their damage just by bringing this dominant cat in VGC right now. Now, Venusaur is really good for Kyogre and stuff, but then how about like the flying types? I think Regieleki just makes a lot of sense here with the Life Orb item. So like, you could do a lot with P2 Incin and Aleki, right? Because what you can do is lead Porygon Aleki this time and go for a big damaging Volt Switch while you're clicking Trick Room with the P2, and then get in the Groudon or the Calyrex, right? So you have two pivoters, you have two Trick Room setters, and sometimes three good Dynamax candidates here, right? So I think there's a lot of synergy with this kind of team, and I think it can work out a little bit better than our Dusclops variation from about a month ago, right? So let's go ahead and reveal the GIFs. Regieleki, Incin, Venusaur, and Porygon will be the four to back up Calyrex Ice Rider and Groudon. So now let's build the movesets, the items, and the EVs. Okay, so let's start with the Ice Rider. So of course we're going to be going weakness policy here, and a very standard moveset. You know, just Glacial Lance, high horsepower, the Max Quake move, Trick Room, that's Trick, and Protect. Okay, so good standard moveset here on Calyrex. I mean, there's not too much variation here. Groudon. Now, here's the thing with Groudon. You know, again, I always like to say this with Groudon right now. A lot of people think you're a Salt Vest right now because that's just like the common Groudon. But again, I do like the Citrus Berry set. And on a team where you have Calyrex and Groudon, you know, you're just prone to Incineroar swapping in and clicking Intimidate. You know, why not punish that by clicking Swords Dance and then also having Protect? Again, so like this is my thinking when I think about Groudon in the current meta, right? You think you're Assault Vest until you reveal the Swords Dance and the Protect, and now all of a sudden the Incineroar or Landorus is in a bad spot, right? So Precipice Blades and then finally Rock Slide, you know, two very good edge. Now that being said, you can do something like Stone Edge over Rock Slide. It all really depends, but I think Rock Slide is just a really consistent damaging move. And then Flinch Hacks, you know, you can never get enough Flinch Hacks. Venusaur, we're just gonna go Focus Sash on this one. Again, you know, just a very standard moveset. Leaf Storm, Earth Power, Weather Ball, you know, Max Flare, and then of course the Broken Sleep Powder. So, you know, Venusaur, Groudon, you always have combos like sleep one slot, then Swords Dance, you know, set it up, then maybe turn 2, sleep the other slot, Swords Dance again. But yeah, that just very good synergy with Groudon and Venusaur. You know how this works. Porygon, of course, the Eviolite. And again, now you can go Shadow Ball here, and what you can do is potentially Dynamax this and go for those Phantasm Defense Traps to really help out Groudon and Calyrex a little bit. Okay, and that's up to you. However, I think on this build we will go Foul Play. But again, if you go Shadow Ball, you know, I think you can go like in a special attacking nature. Let me just go Trick Room and first of all Recover and Trick Room, right? If you do like Shadow Ball, I think you can just go like Quiet, something like this. Just have like no speed, and then, you know, have enough where you can proc our Calyrex policy here. So I think that just makes a lot more sense. So I'm very curious if you, the viewer, would prefer Shadow Ball or Foul Play. Now Foul Play does a lot of damage into stuff like, you know, Zacian or an opposing Calyrex Ice Rider, you know. So it's up to you, but you know, if you think you can Dynamax the Porygon and make use of those defense drops, then yeah, Shadow Ball works out. But for now, we're just gonna go Foul Play, and I'll take away the nature for a bit. We'll just go back to it. Now, Incineroar, of course, again, we want Intimidate. Shuka Berry is a very standard item, so Flare Blitz, Parting, Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Throat Shot. Right now, that being said, you know, if you are a little bit worried about, you know, when you click Trick Room, what do you do against Amoonguss? You can do Safety Goggles here, you know, just to help out a little bit. So now you have Incineroar and Venusaur to help you out against the Amoonguss. But you can always Dynamax the Alecki, go for the Lightning plays, and then stop Amoonguss doing its shenanigans that way. So it's really up to you. But I feel like right now, with where the meta is, I think we really need the Shuka Berry. You know, we'll outplay the Amoonguss, all right? We'll just play better. The Regieleki, pretty standard here. I think you definitely want Electro Web here. Now, that being said, you know, this is a very Trick Room oriented team, so you can always, you know, take this out and go with another electric move, but I think it makes a lot of sense, especially with Venusaur. Calyrex Shadow Rider can give a little bit of trouble, so if you can get our Venusaur to outspeed it, then that's always great. You know, not considering Sun and stuff. Hyper Beam, you know, Max Strike is really nice. Gives you something to click into Landorus, and then finally Protect in the final slot. So I think we got all of our items and moves. Okay, cool. Now let me show you how we're gonna do the EVs, because the EVs, it's gonna make a difference in how we play the squad and certain interactions, especially when we're trying to proc a weakness policy. So let's take a look. Okay, so for Ice Rider, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be able to, in Trick Room, we're gonna have our Porygon activate the weakness policy with Foul Play into our Calyrex, and then we can become +2. Okay, Foul Play doesn't really do that much. It's only after you proc the policy where it really does a lot. But for Porygon, Foul Play into Calyrex, it really does almost negligible damage. So, and I'll show you the damage calc just to prove it to you in a bit. But here's what we do. We're gonna have no speed on this Calyrex, but if you notice, that's not good enough because the Porygon still outspeeds it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the Calyrex a little bit faster and have some speed on this. Okay, so we're going to go Adamant, and we will not be 0 speed, But what instead we will be is this. So you see the Porygon speed tier right now is 65. But what we can do is we're going to go sassy. Okay, when we go sassy, Porygon speed with 0 IVs is 58. Okay, now if you look at Calyrex, oh look, we're at 58 too. So what we need to do is just have Calyrex have more speed than the Porygon. So this way, the Porygon will outspeed the Calyrex in Trick Room and then be able to proc the policy, and then we can smash. We're gonna take a page out of Jeremy books here, and we're gonna go just about 10 speed here, right? Because 10 gives us the 60, and we want the Incineroar to be able to do the same thing too. So, but the main thing is you don't want your Incineroar and P2 to speed tie, so one has to be faster than the other. Okay, so all three of these are gonna be separated by like 1 speed apart. Okay, so the P2 right now is 58, the Calyrex is 60. That's okay, that's pretty good. But I think we're gonna make the Incineroar the 58 one, and we'll make the P2 59. So let's just do it like this. Yeah, something like this. And then now all of a sudden the Porygon is faster, and then again we proc the policy. So this is what we do, and then I'll just show you like with the Incin, and then we'll get to the others in a second. So with the Incineroar, same idea. We're gonna go sassy on this. So we still get our special defense nature. We're gonna have no speed on this. Okay, and now this is 58, because if you look, Incin's base speed is 60 and Porygon's is also 60, right? So we don't want a speed tie. So instead, we make these 3 bonds separated by 1 speed apart. So Incineroar has 58 speed, so you're slow enough where you can self-throat chop your Calyrex, proc the policy that way, and then click Glacial Lance or High Horsepower, whatever you need to click, okay? It's the same idea. Okay, now back to the Calyrex. So we're just gonna max our HP. Now you can just do this where you can go 252, 2524, but you know, I do appreciate a little bit of the special defense, so we're just gonna go 3rd bump here in the attacking stat. So 229 to 231. This is our 3rd EV bump / benchmark in the attacking stat, and then a little bit of special defense, you know, just to be able to take those non-Life Orb Calyrex Astro Barrage is better, are those Dialga Flash Cannons better, the Palkias, the Kyogre stuff, you know, even Dark Pulse Yveltal's with Life Orb is threatening. Now, again, you don't really need to click Dark Pulse, but you can click Life Orb Foul Play, but, you know, they may not have it. They may opt for Heat Wave, and then, you know, something else that you need is to survive that instead. So a little bit of special defense is always welcome on the Calyrex. You're not going to miss the attack too much, especially when you get the weakness policy going. So I think it's fine. The P2, now again, the general idea with Porygon, you just need even numbers in your bulk, so this way you maximize the output from your Eviolite, because again, the Eviolite gives you a 1.5 boost, and if you have odd numbers here in your defenses, then you're going to get a decimal, which rounds down, and you don't want to do that, because then you're not getting the best bang for your buck out of the Eviolite. So 244 HP is all we need. Okay, this will optimize the max Hailstorm chip damage from the Calyrex, and even the Sandstorm chip damage, and then we just want to be able to go into the bump. Now, this is the benchmark here, 143 for the Sassy Natured Porygon, but again, you don't want that odd number, so you just go 1 above it, like this, and now it's a nice even number, and now you get a nice whole number after the Eviolite boost. And then from here, just dump the rest into defense, which is also an even number, so it all works out on our Porygon too. So again, shout out to Jeremy for, you know, coming up with this stuff. And of course, Trace is kind of cool. You know, if you can trace stuff like Intimidate or Prankster Shenanigans, you know, Prankster Eerie Impulse is always kind of cool. So yeah, Groudon here. So Groudon, again, we're going to be like extra slow this time. Now, normally the Groudons generally want to float around like somewhere between, you know, like 114, 15, 16 speed. Some even go to like 120 depending on the build, but because we're on Trick Room, I think we're just gonna go literally like 113 here. This is just so that we outspeed the other Groudons that are 112, but you know, still slow enough where like we're really utilizing the Trick Room stuff, which gives us a little bit more flexibility in how we do our EV spread, right? So of course we're gonna go Adamant. I think from here we can just go, instead of 76 attack in the Groudon, I think we can actually go 156, the 2nd bump here, especially with Swords Dance. This is actually very, very powerful and very, very strong. So I think that's the way here. Now we still have a little bit more EVs to play with, so let's just get an even number here. Now you can do something like this, but I prefer to go a little bit weaker, something like this, and then go special defense, something like this. Just a little bit more bulk in the special defense, I think it's fine. A tad bit off the HP. You won't miss it. You got the berry. So this is the way I'm going to do Groudon. Now, again, if you are someone that prefers a little bit more bulk and a little bit less attack because you have Swords Dance, then you can go to just the first bump here with 76 attack. Maybe go up to like 206 here. And then you can just dump the rest into something like, you know, special defense. You know, something like this. And then, you know, you're fully utilizing your Groudon's bulk. You know, yeah, that's all I'm really going to say. But for us, at the moment, I do like a little bit more stronger of a Groudon here. So I'm just going to go into the second benchmark in the attacking stat. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, that being said, again, you can just go, if you really don't care about the 112, the 113 mark, you can go back to 112 and then make this 108. And now you get a nice even number in your special defense where, you know, you can fully utilize a max Quake boost a little bit better. So you can do something like this if you prefer, right? If not, if you don't care, then you can just settle for the 113 benchmark and you're kind of fine. Venusaur, again, this is going to be a Sash Mon, so there's really nothing else to really consider here, and just go 252, 2524 with our Venusaur. Just having the Focus Sash just gives you a second chance to click Sleep Powder to, you know, get out of jail. You know, and I want to stress that, you know, people think, you know, just because you have Venusaur you can click Sleep Powder. My theory or my reasoning for ever wanting to click Sleep Powder is you only use it if you're like down or if you need something to get you out of jail, as I like to say, right? If you're already ahead, you don't need to click Sleep Powder. There's no reason for that, because if you miss, now you give the opponent a chance to get ahead of you, right? So if you're already ahead, just click your attacking moves. You don't need to click Sleep Powder. You only need to do it if you're behind, okay? So this way it gives you a chance to get back into the game. That's what I like to, you know, consider about Sleep Powder. It's a way to get back into the game, not to get ahead if I'm already ahead, all right? So that's how you lose the game, right? If you're already ahead, you miss Sleep Powder, and then now you get him back in the game. So that's my spiel about that. And if you agree with me, you know, comment, let me know. And if you disagree with me, same thing, comment, let me know so I can know your name. All right, now the Incineroar. So how are we gonna do this? Again, Sassy Nature, second bump here is all we really need. This benchmark here, you see how you go from 141 to 143, you go up by 2. This is what we mean by the benchmark or the bump. And again, we have a video on the channel that explains what EV bumps are or benchmarks are. So again, take a look at that if you want a full, more in-depth guide as to what it is. Just max the HP and then the rest just gets dumped into defense, something like this. I think it's totally fine. We get more bulk out of our Incineroar this way. We're a little bit slower in trying to set up Trick Room, but again, the reasoning behind this kind of speed tier is we want to be able to self-proc the policy on the Calyrex in Trick Room. Now, Regieleki. Now, I'm still kind of playing with this Regieleki spread. I've been doing either like, you know, 252 timid spread or like a bulkier, slower, modest spread. And I'll show you what that means. So, if you go like a modest build like this, where like if you have 124 speed, okay, now this is enough for outspeeding Landers after +1, so I think that's kind of cool. And then from here, second benchmark in the modest natured stat, you go to 154 with the Life Orb, and then 1 point in special defense. Optimize your HP with Life Orb chip damage, like this, because again, with the Life Orb, you lose 1/10 of your HP per turn. So let's optimize that, and let's go with the HP number that ends in a 9. So this way, you know, divided by 10, you know, it'll round down to a better whole number. So for example, 169. So 169 divided by 10, 16.9, which rounds down to 16. So you'll be taking 16 damage per turn. But if you break the threshold, now you're at 170. So what's 170 divided by 10 from the Life Orb? 17. So now you're taking an extra point of HP damage per turn. You don't need to do that. Just undercut it and go to 169. That's how it works. And then just add some bulk here in defense. And this defensive bulk, you know, you'll lift stuff like, you know, Rillaboom Grassy Glides, Urshifu, Wicked Blows, that are focus sash, not choice band. So yeah, you know, it pays off. Even like Zacian stuff, or even Calyrex Ice Rider Glacial Lance, like you got shots at surviving things. So the extra bulk is appreciated. It is a slower Lecky, So that being said, you know, maybe that works out a little bit in Trick Room. But yeah, if you don't like this, then if you just prefer a more standard Alecki build, then just do this, where you have pretty much timid here, and then 1 point in the defensive bulk, and then just do something like this, right? If you prefer, you know, just a timid Alecki that, you know, at least it results in a speed type, you're going against another Alecki, that's up to you. But if you prefer my bulkier Regieleki spread, let me just put it back here. This is it, and I'll show you a couple damage calcs with this spread, right? You know, so I do have a reasoning behind this madness. But yeah, so we got the Alecki. I think we did it all, right? Instant, Venusaur, Groudon, P2, and the Calyrex. Yeah, we did. Okay, cool. So again, just to review with what we have here. Again, the P2 speed tier lets you outspeed your own Calyrex in Trick Room, so you can click Foul Play into it, proc the policy. Same thing with the Incineroar. It does the same thing. You can side throw chop your Calyrex in Trick Room to proc the policy. And again, you make it so that your Incineroar and Porygon don't speed time by making one of them 1 point faster, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Groudon and Venusaur, relatively standard. Venusaur, you know, Focus Sash, Timid 252. That's all you really need. Regieleki has some defensive bulk for certain calcs, and it's pretty good in the best of 3 because, you know, they don't know your spreads, and they can't really calc for it because who's calcing for this, right? Nobody. And then same thing with Groudon. They don't know your attack bump, whether you're 76, 156, or, you know, 252 adamant Groudon. They don't know. And then your bulk is also very much appreciated. So I'm going to show you a couple calcs, and then let's go ahead and showcase it in a few showdown sample battles. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. This is our Regieleki. This is against Rillaboom. Adamant 252, grassy terrain with Miracle Seed. And once again, we've shown this calc on the channel before, but our Regieleki survives that Rillaboom. And it's hard to believe, right? But it does take it. And if we look at Urshifu with the Focus Sash, that's black glasses. Let's take that away. Wicked Blow. Again, okay, 12.5. You know, that if we added one more defense point, okay, then we get it down to 6, but that's okay. Still, we have a very good favorable roll to live this. So that's really what we're looking for with our Regieleki. Just being overall bulky to be able to take these hits. That's what we want out of our Alecki. So let's look at some Porygon calcs. Okay, with Porygon, sticking with like Urshifu stuff. So like Urshifu close combat can't kill this thing. And then if we're looking at Zacian, I know Zacians don't really run close combat, but even the strongest of Adamant Zacians, they can't do this. So Adamant Zacian 2, that's bashful. Adamant 252, Sacred Sword. Again, the Porygon is just kind of chilling here. It can't die. And then even like +2 Solgaleo can't beat it. Like, let me show you +2 Solgaleo. Let's say it's like third bump, you know, with a +2 and then Dynamax. Like +2 Solgaleo, 93% only. You know, even if it gets like a Bulldoze proc, the Bulldoze is not doing 7% high roll. That's just not how it works. So, you know, Solgaleo is just kind of chilling here. I mean, our Porygon's kind of chilling against Solgaleo. And then look how much Foul Play does to it, especially in Dynamax. It does so much, and then without it, you just pretty much one-shot it. So that's kind of funny that Porygon can do this. Now, I did put this as analytics, so let me take that away. It's supposed to be trace, so let me just remove it. All right, so Solgaleo, so we can kill it, but again, if it has a self-procker policy, then that only helps us put the Solgaleo in range for a Foul Play after the weakness policy boost. So that's kind of cool. Now, that being said, what about like Shadow Rider? You know, again, how much is Foul Play doing to the Shadow Rider? You know, again, it's a 2-hit KO. So like, not even, it could be a 2-hit KO, sometimes a 3. It really all depends on the Porygon set here. But, you know, that's what we're looking. Oh wait, this is the Ice Rider set. Hold on a second. I meant Shadow. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Well, what are we doing? Okay, Shadow Rider. All right, that makes more sense. Yeah, 66 to 80%. So if this is a Shadow Rider, again, yeah, this is a 2-hit KO. But what is Shadow Rider really doing to the P2? Not a whole lot. If it has Side Shock, again, this is Life Orb Shadow Rider again. So it does some damage, but not enough. You're kind of just chilling. Now against an Ice Rider, you know, what if it gets as possible? An opposing Ice Rider, I should say. So let's say it's 252, 252. How much is Foul Play doing? Does a lot, you know, just pretty much about 50% to about 57. And then if it has +2, I would imagine this is almost a one-shot. Yeah, it's pretty much a one-shot. If it's Dynamax, again, you know, still a very, very strong number. A lot of damage, which is what you want out of your Porygon to just be bulky overall, right? Now, what about like Kyogre and Regieleki stuff? Kyogre, let's just take a look here. Let's say 252, 252 modest. Take away some of this bulk in the rain, and then this is Dynamax Ogre, right? By the way, all right. First, let's look at Water Spout. Water Spout, not even close. If it Dynamaxes in the rain with Mystic Water, all right. Even the high roll, the Porygon still lives. Okay, I just want to reiterate that the Porygon still lives, which is kind of funny. What about like Regieleki? Okay, modest Aleki. I'm curious to see what this does. So with a Life Orb, let's say it's modest, and it's 252, 252 modest Aleki. How much is this doing? Is that killing? Absolutely not. But let's give it some stronger moves. Let's say Thunder, the strongest Aleki move. What is that doing? Only max 75%. Porygon is broken. My goodness. This is not fair. Okay, so yeah, we have the bulkiest of Porygons. Now, I could show you Dialga and Palkia stuff, but you just saw like some of the super effective stuff is not even like close to one-shotting it. So that's really all there is to it. So very bulky Porygon. Now let's just go ahead and show a couple of damage battles where we can use some of our leads. Okay, perfect. So this is like a mirror a little bit. This is Palkia and Ice Rider. You know, he's got a pretty standard team. Now, instead, he has the Thundurus over the Aleki. So let's see what we can do against Palkia and the Calyrex. Now, I would imagine Incineroar comes in here because you want to intimidate our Groudon here. Of course, he's going to bring his 2 restricteds. Now, the question is, what is going to be his 4th mod? Is it going to be the Mungus, the Porygon, or the Thundurus? I would imagine a Mungus comes, but maybe he wants the Porygon. We'll see. So he goes with Palkia and Incin lead. That's a pretty standard lead. I'm going with Porygon and I'm going with Aleki here. So I have a couple options. Now, if he clicks Fake Out, right? If he clicks Fake Out to the Porygon, I could potentially just Dynamax the Aleki and one-shot his Incineroar. But the problem is, what if he Dynamaxes his Palkia and then Max Quakes my Aleki? That's also not good. And I don't want to lose my Dynamax turn 1 at the cost of just getting rid of an Incineroar. So here's what we're going to do. If he clicks Fake Out onto the Aleki, I can get my Trick Room up, and then I can get, you know, something else in. But if he clicks Fake Out in the P2, then I Volt Switch out, and then I get something else in for free. And the Incineroar has to stay in here because, you know, he clicked Fake Out. So then I don't get Intimidate spammed. So let's see what he does here. Oh yeah, that's just all the pressure stuff. So there, he fakes out the Porygon, which means free Volt Switch damage into his Palkia. Look how much damage that did to Palkia. I don't know if he even wants to Dynamax this anymore, especially now that we got Groudon in here. Now he could still destroy my Groudon from, you know, just from his raw damage. I've done this before. Max Geyser in the Sun still pretty much destroys Groudon here, but that's okay. So now he goes for Earth Power into the Aleki side. So I pretty much predicted he would go for that ground move here. Now, again, I do have a special defense shot, which is probably how he gets the kill with the Hydro Pump, but this is still okay. He goes into his Calyrex. Okay, that's still fine. Now, I do get the Trick Room up for him, but here's, again, the plan. Here's my own Calyrex. Now, him seeing this, right, even if he keeps the Palkia in, I'm still going to kill it, and I'm going to get +3 because I'm going to self-proc my Calyrex. From this range, Max Quake kills. +2 Max Quake kills, I'm sure. Now, if he goes into his Incineroar, you know, I'll be a +1, but again, no berry from the Incineroar. And I don't think he swaps out his Calyrex here, so I think it's going to be the Palkia if he does go for it. So, he does go into the Incineroar like I predicted. So now, even though we're -1, now we're going to be +1. And let's see how much damage the Foul Play does. See, it's only 17%, right? And that's a very small number, and there goes the Incineroar. So now we're pretty much +2 again, and now he brings in his Palkia, which is not really going to do anything against our Porygon and our Calyrex. I can always click Eerie Impulse against the Palkia, and, you know, it just ends up being no threat as of this moment. Now, I'd rather get damage on the Calyrex because I have an Aleki in the back. I can always finish off the Palkia when Trick Room is done with the Aleki. But I need damage on the Calyrex, and I need to be able to put it in range of foul play, right? So that's my goal as of this moment. So he Dynamaxes the Calyrex, that's fine. He Quakes me, that does like no damage. I Eerie Impulse the Palkia, so now he's -2. And now I Quake to give myself even more of a boost. He misses the Spatial Rend, and then he just forfeits from there. So I don't know if he didn't have the Amoonguss. He must not have if he didn't swap it in, because then he could just spore stuff. But again, we were in a pretty good spot as of this moment. You know, we got good chip damage, and we're going to get even more chip damage next turn. I don't know what he does with the Palkia here. Maybe he switches it out, but we pretty much just punish that slot if we need to, if he switches it. So yeah, you saw the self-proc. It was only 17%, so that's pretty kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Let's look at another one. Okay, this is Solgaleo and Kyogre. So this is a pretty much a hard Trick Room team. There is like no fast mode to this whatsoever, and there's an Amoonguss, and we know how we feel about Amoonguss yet again. But here's the thing, like, you want to be able to get your Trick Room up somehow, right? So I would imagine one of the redirectors comes as a lead with a Trick Room setter. So I'm just gonna punish that and lead Groudon and Calyrex and go for spread move, and you know, finish things off with the fast mode in the back with like Venusaur and Aleki. I think that's the way to go about this. So he leads with Mimikyu and Indeedee, right? So a redirector and a Trick Room setter. But now look at this. Look at this board. Like, what is the Mimikyu gonna do? Like we break your disguise, and then Groudon then Calyrex can pretty much just clean up. So the Indeedee is also in a pretty bad spot. Even if it can take one of the attacks, it can't take both. And then whatever switches in has to take both attacks. Solgaleo does not want to take a Precipice Blades. Neither does Kyogre. So this is a pretty strong lead for me. The only way this goes bad is if I miss. But yeah, let's see what happens here. So he protects the Indeedee turn 1. That's a good play. Now we did miss the Mimikyu, so that's what I was saying. That's actually really bad for us, because now we do pop the disguise, but he gets Trick Room up, right? So he does make my Calyrex faster, and we do a lot of damage. He does burn my Groudon, which is why I went for Swords Dance, because I figured, you know, as his Mimikyu, he just wants to die, and he probably wants to burn one of these two. So if he burns the Calyrex, then I get a free Swords Dance on the Groudon. If he burns the Groudon, then, you know, the Calyrex stays unburned. So one or the other works out fine. Now from here, okay, there's my berry, so that's always good. The Mimikyu has Protect. I don't know about Protect Mimikyu. I don't understand that one, but he has Protect. So we get rid of the Indeedee. It's going to work out for him here, because now he gets to bring in his Solgaleo, and now you would imagine this is like self-proc, Shadow Sneak, Weakness Policy shenanigans. Now, he has a choice. If I give him the Calyrex, then the Groudon can do some damage, even though it's burned. Like, I'm still +2, even though I'm burned. Like, it's still okay. And then I do have Venusaur and Aleki in the back, and Trick Room's almost gone, by the way. So if I can get some chip damage on the Solgaleo, then I'm sure the Venusaur and the Aleki can finish things off. But it all depends on what he wants to do with the Solgaleo. So he does the Dynamax, but to my surprise, he did not Shadow Sneak with the Mimikyu. So that was just a free kill. I don't know what he was doing. He does get rid of my Calyrex, but now this is a single target Precipice Blaze, and that does a lot of damage with against Solgaleo. Now, I do proc his policy. I understand that, but Trick Room is almost over, and it's within range of like Venusaur / Aleki stuff. So that's my thought process as of this moment. One turn of Trick Room left, so there's the Kyogre now. He changes the weather. That's okay. But I do have a decision to make here. Okay. I am going to give him the Aleki here, because I'm not sure about the Ogre. And there's the Water Spout, so goodbye Aleki. Now, the thing is, what made this play kind of hard to make is I don't know the Ogre speed tier, right? Because on this kind of team, he probably is slow, but he can also be one of those Choice Scarf Kyogres on those Trick Room teams, and then at least he has a way to outspeed the Shadow Rider and then go for a Water Spout, right? That's like usually what you see, but because I don't know his speed tier, he could be like slow Ogre. I didn't want to take the chance, so I just withdrew the Groudon and then just give him the Aleki now, and we'll deal with it later. So I max guarded the Venusaur, so I stalled out a turn of his max. So here's the Groudon. I changed the weather again. I Quake because I have the speed, and hopefully Groudon can pick up here. Now, I did get the crit. Now, he did have a defense boost, and I was burned, so it probably did matter. Actually, it did matter, but again, it does balance the miss from turn 1. So, you know, the gods have said, okay, we will rebalance what happened turn 1. So Solgaleo goes down here, and now the Kyogre can't really do much. There's Ice Beam from the Ogre here, so that's kind of cool. That's pretty much it. So the Ogre, all it can do is just protect. I'm going for the Vine Lash here. I get the Vine Lash chip damage going. Okay. And as of this point, the Venusaur just pretty much just cleans up here. I can click whatever I want. The Vine Lash chip will do the job anyway, but I went for Leaf Storm because I have a Focus Sash. I'm living no matter what. And that was that. So yeah, pretty cool game. Again, that was just an interesting turn 5 where, like, do I want to give him the Aleki or do I just give him the Groudon and try and win the game with the Aleki later on? It was a tough call. Oh yeah, I remember this. This was the Ice Cream Cone shenanigans. So he's got Tornadus with, like, maybe it's Choice Scarf Vanillix just spamming Blizzard, which is kind of funny. So I guess that's kind of cool. But again, here's the instant Vanilla. So I'm going with P2. I'm going with the Aleki lead once again. Now this time I'm gonna try and go for Glory here because there's not much that can take the Aleki Dynamax move. And he actually didn't even go for Fake Out, so that's just a free Incineroar kill. So that's good because now that means the Calyrex and the Groudon will not get Intimidate spam. And this is where Eerie Impulse comes into handy against Vanillix because that's what I clicked. Now here's the Zacian. Now I could zap the Zacian and the Protect is obvious, but I do want to put it in range of, like, Calyrex and Groudon stuff later on, and he does get a Veil, so I do get Trick him up. But now the Zacian outspeeds me. Now, again, I could have targeted the Vanillix, you know, understanding the Zacian probably protects. But, you know, I just Eerie Impulse this slot. So, like, I'm not afraid even if the Zacian protects. Because even if the Vanillix stays in, it just gets Eerie Impulse. And if he switches into the Kyogre, it just gets Eerie Impulse. And then you can't switch out Zacian for Kyogre, right? Then you just die. So I was covering my options by doing this. Now he does have a Veil, but again, I'm just going to recover with the P2. Blizzard's going to do some damage. We do live on the Aleki, but now we just died to Behemoth Blade, but that's okay. Now we get a free switch into our Groudon, who can click whatever move it wants. There's the Kyogre. I mean, you're still taking a Precipice Blades, and we always pin this slot with an Eerie Impulse, which is what ends up happening here. That's good damage into Ogre. And now we have 2 more turns of Trick Room. We Eerie Impulse again. Another P-Blades. There goes the Zacian. And this Kyogre is now like -4. Scald, he tries to burn, but again, even with the burn, he's still like so behind. We still have the Calyrex. There's not much he can do. And now we just want to Eerie Impulse everything from here. And this was our last turn of Trick Room. The Kyogre did not protect. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we just have a one-on-one battle with the Vanillix. So, and now we just click Eerie Impulse, and that's pretty much it. Okay, I go into Calyrex just to like play a little bit more safer, but yeah, that's pretty much how we did it. So, nice set of 3 games. You know, we got to showcase pretty much all of the squad. We brought everything. We Dynamaxed something different, I think, all the games, which shows you like the flexibility of the team and how it functions, right? So, yeah, let's take a look at the pace one last time before we get you guys out of here. So there's that Calyrex Groudon team one more time, and I like this one a little bit more than the Dusclops one that we made a month ago. I think this one is just like more smooth, more solid for what we wanted to do. Now, I'm still playing with the Aleki set. I'm not sure what I want to do with the Aleki set, but I think this one still is pretty good for what we wanted to do. But yeah, I think overall we'll probably make this another rental for June. I think it just does the job for what it's supposed to do. You saw the self-proc from Porygon into Calyrex. That's how we get the policy going. We might have to do it with Incin a couple times if we get this team onto Cart Ladder. Venusaur Groudon is always a mode that you want to consider. And then Venusaur P2, that's another lead. But again, you know, lots of stuff. We saw Porygon Aleki lead. That's always very strong because it gives you the pivot option into Groudon or Calyrex, and then you click Trick Room on the Porygon. So very, very flexible in what the team can do. And again, all this kind of stuff, the team building, we do it during one-on-one coaching with the tier 3 sub to the channel. So if you're interested in building a team with me, we can sit down in a Discord call and we'll do it. That's a tier 3 sub to the channel. A lot of you have done that over the last few months. So I'm glad I could give you guys good teams. And if you want to do the same, again, take a look at it. It's in the video description, a tier 3 sub to the channel. But if you are someone that already has a team, just needs it to be fixed up a little bit, that's a tier 2 sub to the channel. We call that team fixing. So definitely do that. You know, you can message me on Discord or message me on Twitter. I'll take a look at the team and then I'll optimize it. I'll fix it up a little bit based on what I think is ideal against the meta at the moment. And then we make a video like this and show you how I changed it and maybe test it out in a few battles. So definitely look into it. But yeah, we'll be back with another Series 12 video in the next one, guys. Have a good one.